Episode 85 of Strange Brow Radio. I'm again your host. Thanks for joining us again. Our guests today are Sasquatch experiencers Julie Svenson Garcia and Mackenna Long, both of the Olympic Peninsula Paranormal Society out of the Olympic Peninsula, oddly enough. So not only do they ghost hunt, but now they have some pretty incredible Sasquatch encounters. And so we met up and talk to them one-on-one. So more of that in a moment. Again, thank you to our sponsor, Feral by Aaron at Etsy, ERYN, Alchemy Sound Tools. And then go check out Port Townsend's Manresa Castle. Back open. The Rook Room, the bar, the pub. Amazing food done out there by Cameron Roberts and his wife. And an amazing bar. So they are doing outdoor seating, indoor seating, and I'd like for you to go see them. They're open up from noon to 8 p.m., damn near 7 days a week. But give them a look at manresacastle.com and you'll find out more about them. All right, we'll be right back and I'll tell you more about our guest in a minute. Okay, thanks again for joining me. My name's Tobe Johnson. You've tuned in again to Strange Brow Radio. And today, as I said, we're going to talk to some witnesses regarding both of their exclusive Sasquatch areas. And again, they have those interesting rings of synchronicity and supernaturalness to them. So we'll talk to them in a minute here. But before we do, I wanted to get to a couple of things going on in pop culture. That's where I would put it. Science, religion, maybe military, and philosophy and quantum mechanics. Yeah, it's a big bag. Let's talk about Randonautica. If you listen to Ales and Tales with Alex Whitcomb and I, we talked about both of our experiences with utilizing it, using this app. And the quick and short is if you download any app off the internet, generally you're going to get something that's a hunk of junk for a quick buck on their end. This is a free app, at least the one I found on the iTunes App Store, Randonautica. And it is utilizing, according to the description, quantum computing and thought consciousness in order to merge the two. It sounds a little bit like remote viewing in a way, and it feels like remote viewing, except you're not doing anything except setting your intention on this app as it downloads a map. So imagine, if you will, Ghostbusters with Dan Aykroyd saying, I believe it was Gozar, the keymaster waiting atop the Empire State Building, who said that they had a chance to pick their destroyer. And they tried to clear their mind of consciousness, and one of them slips up and thinks of the Stay Puft Marshmallow. I believe it was Dan Aykroyd's character. And anyway, everyone knows that scene out of Ghostbusters. Well, this is kind of the same way. So if this app works, that's the principle, is that you have to be very specific with what you're looking for, and the app will read your mind and send you to a location. Dark stuff has been turning up with Randonautica. If you go on YouTube and type in TikTok Randonautica app being used by some girls out here in Alki Beach, there was a body found in a suitcase, neatly folded up into pieces. They found that with Randonautica. We've seen many people find what look like cryptid areas, suitcases full of money, Dybbuk boxes, definitely abandoned houses, and in my case, an obelisk in the middle of the forest that is not on Google Maps. And I put that up on my Facebook page too. It must be over 100 feet, bright white, huge Egyptian obelisk in the middle of the forest, not far from my neighborhood. So that's not on Google Maps. I don't know how long that's been there, and I can't find out anything on that. It seems to line up synchronicity And now I don't know if this is like when you buy a new Volkswagen, you suddenly see Volkswagens everywhere, or you get a new toupee and you see guys with toupees all over. I don't know if it's that at all, but I think it's something more than that based upon what happened with us near Vashon, Maury Island. I was using the app less than a week ago, and Maury Island is home to the historic crash that happened, I believe, in 1941, where fishermen and people on the beach saw several donut-shaped UFOs drop slag, which is molten metal, out of them as they came incredibly close to the shore. And the slag pieces burnt hole in the fishing vessels. It landed in the forest and on the beach, and pieces were collected, and there was a whole scene that happened. It was right during the Roswell hustle and bustle. So I went there to check that out, and I turned on the Randonautica app. Now you have 10 trips that you can take with that a day. Maybe that's to stop the addiction. I don't know. But I only was going to use it on one trip. So I set my intention as the map began to load, and it's not very comprehensive to use this, but once you use it 5 or 6 times, you just push the same things and take your trips. And my intention as the map was loading was slag, molten metal. It wasn't specific. I didn't say anything other than that. I didn't think of anything other than that. I set my intention on slag. Well, 4 minutes away, 7 minutes away, it sent me into the woods. So I drove, because there was a road, and it led me to a dirt path. And as I walked up the dirt path, I saw that it was pinpointed into the forest. And as I got closer to the forest, I saw a sign. And the sign said something to the fact of danger smelting material, high arsenic levels, don't wander off the path, basically. Well, if you know anything about melting metal, smelting is a way to do that. And slag is a component or a process of basically melting steel and metal or pieces of that sort. Now, there was a little bit of a longer story to that based upon something that possibly happened south of there. Not quite sure if that's linked to what happened. The point is that of all the places I could have gone on the island, it sent me to a forest where there was a warning, and I've never seen a warning like this before about melting smelted metal or slag about. So I didn't go off trail because I was in flip-flops, which was stupid of me, and there was stinging nettles everywhere, but I have the coordinates. So I was contacted by the folks that made the documentary, the Maury Island Incident documentary filmed up here in Washington at Maury Island, and so maybe we might be taking a field trip. Of course, I think I might be going at night sometime to do a strange stroll, so you can kind of count on that as well. Randonautica, I suppose you're going to hear about this, so that's why I'm bringing up. A lot of people, don't ever use it again because it's just too damn spooky and accurate for their own taste. I suggest don't do it at night and don't do it alone, because you could wander into a weirdo. You don't know where you're going. It sends you right up to private property or on private property, and you got to stop and think about, not doing that. So definitely check out Randonautica. The app has a little twisted owl head on the top of it. Interesting. And speaking of UFO crashes and UFOs in general, I wanted to mention something regarding what's happened via the Joe Rogan show and George Knapp, who was recently on there. They gave Joe Rogan two reports, Pentagon cleared reports regarding metamaterial from, they didn't say UFO crashes, but they said unidentified, uncategorized metamaterial, which is basically small pieces of metal. Now, they did that right during the time Senator Mark Rubio went live in Florida about talking about UFO disclosure and UFOs or UAPs flying into U.S. airspace. And so here's Marco Rubio, prior presidential candidate Marco Rubio of 2016, now on the side of Harry Reid and Luis Elizondo and Jeremy Corbell and everybody else, speaking the same thing as now the New York Times or New York Post, I think, is getting ready to launch an article. But July 24th, 2020, Pentagon has off-world vehicles not made of this earth. This is out of Popular Mechanics. That's not a small magazine. It used to be just a print magazine. It's not a small subscription at all. Bombshell. The government wants clandestine UFO program will reveal findings on unexplained material and crashes. The crashes part is the key. The materials, that's the metamaterial. That's, I think, the documents that Jeremy Corbell got. We're paying attention to crashes because that gets into that gets into Maury Island, and that gets also into Roswell and a whole host of other suspected crashes. And if we're listening to the story of Bob Lazar, which I think we still should, Bob talked about how one of these crashes reportedly was from an archaeological dig, a very, very old archaeological find. Now, was that the ship kept at S4? These things are all unfolding. The fact of the matter is, this is part of pop culture. This is part of popular culture. This is a part of our culture. Why isn't it happening now is the question. Of all times, of all places. Very, very interesting. So go to popularmechanics.com, read the article here. I'll put a link up in the description on my Facebook page. It's very specific, and no turning back now. So more on that. And if you want me to read more news like this, let me know. You got to get in touch with me at strangebrowradio@gmail.com. Also, if you'd like to be a guest like our guest today, I'd love to have you on. Mackenna Long is our guest today, and Julie Svenson Garcia, both paranormal researchers. Both members of the Olympic Peninsula Paranormal Society. But they have Bigfoot stories, and we grab a seat outside in a little fishing town that looks like something out of a Stephen King novel, and talk about both of their mutual sightings and bounce some ideas off of one another. So here you go, folks. My talk with perhaps future extended experiencers. Let's go over. I'm just going to read back what you've told me so far here and tell me if I have it right. So, Julie, you have weird sounds. Okay. You also have seen some. You said, you saw something cross the road. A blonde.
I did. Yep.
You saw something cross the road,
yep.
Mackenna. Okay. Something blonde.
It looked blonde. The back of it. That big blonde. Ginger looking.
Yes. And Julie, you saw something tall and dark move across the forest tree line. Mm-hmm. But you don't attribute that to a typical shadow figure, or do you? I mean, do you feel like it was...
I don't know.
Squatchy?
It didn't feel squatchy. It felt blobby. Really. I mean, it felt like it was like mercury when it moves, like that fluid movement.
Like it could fold in on itself and condense to a ball?
It could have.
Yeah.
For all I know, yeah. I don't know, but for someone who...
It's nice when you have somebody else see it.
Yeah.
Because when you're by yourself and you're trying to explain, it's like, I'm not crazy, just listen to me. And you explain it, but when you have somebody else, they're like, yeah, I totally saw that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's the honest truth here, is that my recorder has been acting up ever since I left it with the dolls here, and it froze while we were talking the first 10 minutes here. So what I can do is I can either re-explain to them what's going on in the episode beforehand, or we can recut this and you guys can tell your story, and I can try to shrink it down for you so we don't have to revisit this territory. It's up to you. Do you want me to take care of it?
I don't have anything going on today, so it doesn't matter.
Don't you go to work, though?
No.
Did you say something about work?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm good. The only thing I have to do is go back and edit this stuff here. So let's start this from the top here, and I will escort us through this again here. That's ridiculous.
Technology's so fun.
thought it was supposed to help
Yeah,
us.
and this is locked. It's rolling. 341.
Oh, tide's still going out. Smell it?
Yes, I can.
My goodness. Okay. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right. I am here today with Mackenna Long and Julie Svenson Garcia. And the honest truth is that I've been having a little bit of digital recorder issues since I left my recorder actually at the Montana Vortex. And so we are doing a recut of 15 minutes of these gals' wasted time because the recorder shut off on its own. And I don't really want to move it from its precise location here, but I think I'm going to watch it a little bit while we're talking here so it doesn't do it again, and I can keep a general look at this thing here. So let me set this right like that. You guys are used to tech glitches.
Oh,
All
yes.
the time. Yep.
Okay.
All the time.
So this is nothing new for you because
No.
Mackenna and Julie are both ghost hunters. They both belong to the ops team, which is also part of the team that Mary Bethune. Would we say Mary Bethune heads it up?
Her and Brian, yeah,
Okay.
are the
Okay.
leaders.
And was Brian there with us that evening when we went there? Okay. All right. Yeah. So if you've been a member of Patreon, then you've seen the footage that we filmed before at the Walker Ames house. And Mackenna and Julie are both along for the ride for that show here. But because we went through some old territory here, I'm just going to gather some steam here and catch the audience up a little bit so we don't have to go through this the whole story again. Mackenna and Julie are both extended experiencers. Julie more so just based upon where she lives, which in this case we're going to try to keep it as private as possible where we are, but it's a remote area. It kind of reminds me of like a Stephen King novel. It has that look and feel to it. Like some people can't vibe with this town, other people can. I've heard Bigfoot stories here, and then that's when Julie reached out to me when she saw one of my wood watchers here, so I thank her for doing that. But Julie, you bought the wood watcher because you've experienced sounds, and that's how it started for you. You heard something off in the distance 10 years ago, or how long ago was it? 8 years ago, and it was only 10 seconds long, you said. Okay, and that's what we had spoken about, is how something only 10 seconds long can leave such an impression on you. And you said, just to catch everybody up here, that it was a sound that couldn't be repeated. It was something identified. You could feel it as much as you could hear it. But tell people again, and I'm going to get over to you, Mackenna, about what you just said regarding today leaving the house, because I think since it's so fresh in your mind, maybe we'll pick up some other stuff too along the way.
So the dogs wanted out early this morning, and I let them out, and they went crazy. They just went crazy. And so since I like my neighbors, I brought them back inside and had cracked the window in the bedroom, and the dogs had gotten settled again, and all of a sudden I heard it sounds like when somebody's stretching and makes that noise. I don't know how else to describe it, but it wasn't
the yawn noise.
Yeah. It wasn't a man. It wasn't definitely not a woman. It was very deep and came from very deep place. Guttural, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then it and the dogs went crazy again. So they just nothing. But I kind of got the sense that, if that was Bigfoot, then it was okay. It probably came by because I was going to be talking about it today, and figured.
Did you feel weird about talking about it?
No.
Okay, and you didn't have any apprehension, because it's normal if you did, but you talk about weird shit all the time, right?
Yes, we
Our
do.
world is weird.
Yeah.
It really is.
You know by meeting somebody really quick whether you can go there or not.
Okay, and this is Mackenna Long, and just to hyphenate what we've talked about over here is that Mackenna has had 3 different experiences along the way here, and if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, you saw something at the park.
Leaving Julie's house.
Leaving Julie's house. Okay, you saw
the leg.
Tell people what you saw at Julie's.
We were driving down this long dirt road, and we took the corner, went right, and I saw it looked like in movement. Yeah. A leg from the knee down, left leg, and it was black and hairy. Just a leg. It was the weirdest thing.
Okay.
Just a leg.
And any possibility It wasn't misidentified.
Attached. No, because it wasn't near a bush. It was like on the road, just a leg.
Okay. So, could have been a cat midair jumping?
No.
I know it's a reach.
I know.
Reaching.
It
looked like a leg stepping out of emptiness.
Yeah,
just
stepping out of air. Yeah.
What time of day?
This was in the evening, probably like 9 o'clock at night, so it was darker.
Okay.
But it was dusk, so I could tell it was a leg.
How close to her house?
I would say a quarter of a mile.
Okay, and the road?
Maybe not even a quarter of a mile.
How far off the road?
It was on the road.
It was literally in the middle of the road?
No, just towards the edge, like it was stepping in movement, like it was walking. But it was just half a leg.
Now, the whole leg or nothing but the leg?
Right, the knee down.
Yeah.
Just the knee down.
The knee down, you saw the feet?
The foot, yeah.
Was it after the first sharp corner?
I think so. Okay. Yeah.
That's kind of where we experience the sounds.
So there's a hot spot.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you said sounds, but you've only heard them twice. Okay, so that's what we're talking about.
Okay.
But we also are talking about the neighbor who didn't come today. But the neighbor, how close is this neighbor?
2 houses down.
Okay. Are you guys in communication? Like, are you good friends too? Okay. So if something went down, you could say, "Hey, Barbara,
did you hear this?"
Yeah. Shit's going on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Did you do that today with the yawn?
No, I didn't today because she doesn't live there at this moment.
Okay, so she's in flux. Okay, that happens. Okay, then here's what I wrote down: is that you had weird screams at a camp as well.
Our first camp trip out at Money Creek in Stevens Pass.
Okay, and Stevens is a hot spot.
Yeah, and literally at 1 o'clock in the morning, I heard 3 distinctive screams, and it sounded super close but super far.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
And we couldn't. My husband heard it. We didn't know what to do, so we just laid there,
pulled the covers up,
pulled the covers up, went back to sleep. I think probably 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. Once you hear that, you never forget that. That it just stands out.
Okay, can you do a recreation of what you heard at all? I mean, give me
horrible.
Was it a scream?
It was like
a yell? Was it?
It was a scream, like like this, just really, but louder and deeper. I can't go as deep. It was deeper and it was just loud, and it was. I don't want to say blood curdling, but kind of blood curdling.
Because it's like a bellow.
It's like screaming.
It was high pitched and low with volume, like it encompassed a whole set of sounds in it. Yeah.
There's no way a human could do that. Yeah. And not to have the distance, but the closeness sound.
Right.
That was the weirdest thing. I'm like, God, it sounds close, but then it sounds far at the same time. Yeah. And that was my first experience hearing it. But that you just don't forget it.
And then something happened in Chehalis. What happened?
In Chehalis, we were driving, and we go camping down there a lot. And so we pulled in, and I was bringing my husband back into the site. And when we got in there, we were hearing these, and this was about 9 o'clock at night. It was pretty dark. We were hearing huge branches breaking. And it's like, well, what's going on? So went to bed. And early in the morning, we were hearing things hitting the trailer, like sounds like rocks. That night, at about 1 o'clock in the morning, it felt like somebody was pushing on it, like 3 pushes, like they're walking down doing this, hitting it as they walked by it. And so I went on my phone because I was already awake. It wasn't like it woke me up. I was already awake. And I was looking, did we just have an earthquake? What's going on? What's going on? And I woke my husband up. We couldn't figure out. Now we have a 34-foot trailer with stabilizers. It prevents it from rocking.
Right.
My friend says that was Bigfoot, and I was kind of at first going, really, you think so? And then I'm thinking, what else could it be?
Right.
The rocks thrown, the branches breaking, like, hey, we're here. And then it's funny because my friend used to work there, and she has a patch, and was like Sasquatch research or finder. They talk about Bigfoot out there.
Right.
So that was trippy, in the middle of the night, having it shaking without an earthquake.
Yeah. And so you both are married, right?
Yes.
Where are your husbands at with this? Because I know, Mackenna, your husband's totally
He's totally
in
into
on
this.
it.
Oh yeah, big
and
time.
it kind of bypasses the paranormal world too for a lot of guys. It's just like, well, I'll look into it because it's cool and it's hairy and it looks like a bear. I mean, so it's almost more of a permission slip. But
see, my husband's in the team with us,
right? With
so he already
yeah.
believes anything that's not black and white. There's a gray area.
Yeah.
And Bigfoot's in there with fae and ghosts and all that kind of stuff.
I had a chance to talk to him while he was behind the camera. He's had experiences beyond
Farragut.
Yeah.
Up in outside
like as
of
a
Spokane.
kid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Teenager.
Yeah.
Young adult.
Yeah.
Pretty close, like hearing it.
Mm-hmm.
And he said there was like no sound. And when you're in a campground and it was like no sound, no bugs, nothing. And then the scream was pretty close. And he said they ran back. But then you can hear the running. You could hear something running through the woods, and it was pretty big. They didn't see it. They could hear it. But that kind of freaked him out.
Now, like I was telling you at the first edit of this here, that we bypass roadside crossings and a lot of stuff on this show here, move into the territory of the supernatural because, I think that's where it belongs. But because you guys have had really incredible stuff and you're willing to talk to me, I don't want you to feel like you have to elaborate on this if you don't want to. But you said synchronicity, Julie, regarding your meeting here today. Does that ever happen?
All the time for me.
With you in general? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
All the
so
time.
you're okay with it?
Yes.
You look for it?
Yep.
And you listen to it?
Yeah. Very much
signs.
so. Very much so.
And you too, McKenna?
I believe I'm audio sentient.
What does that mean?
That I hear things or sounds.
Okay.
And I know things before they happen.
Okay.
I hear that they're coming, or I am intuitive enough to, like, sometimes I'll just be driving down the road and I think, I bet there's a cop up there. And sure enough, there'll be a cop right up there.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things I hear, or when I'm talking with others and they're, not happy with me or something's a conflict, I hear what that person needs to be able to be okay and to take it down to base level. And so I've always been able to do that. Always.
Since you're a little girl? Yeah. And how about on your mother's side?
Mom was Catholic. We had 2 nuns in the family.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so there wasn't a lot of that.
But did it run on the mother's side?
Yes, on my mom's. She had an experience in a house that we lived in when I was growing up, and it terrified her.
Would you agree it runs mostly on the maternal side?
Yeah, I think her mother was as well.
Yeah. And
but
how
again,
about
Catholic.
McKenna?
Nobody in my family.
Nobody?
Nobody.
Okay.
The best we got was we would play poker, and my grandma would do fingers going hex voodoo, because that was about it.
That's funny.
Just it started with me, and my kids have the abilities. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Are they getting that ability nurtured?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm not going to scare them. I mean, I don't want them to be afraid of it.
Yeah.
And I don't want them to shut down like so many kids do. Kids are so open, and that's the problem. Is when you shut them down. Oh no, that's not there. That's not. You don't know what you're talking about. That stops them. And I'm like, really? Yeah. And then I as a psychic medium, I can see it, so I know what they're talking about. But I've always encouraged it. And my kids go with me on some of our investigations.
And you're audio sentient as well?
I'm everything, really.
Okay. I'm everything.
Right, I'm sorry.
I'm a whole ball of wax.
Who knows?
She's a book.
I got it all.
I think it's gain weight though, because as I said, growing up Catholic, we don't talk about
right.
that.
Yeah.
That's no, that's the devil there. And so I always suppressed it. And I just would be like, not gonna, nope, I heard, no, kind of stuff. And so then I met with Mackenna, and she she reignited that, and it's okay. It's okay as long as it's on my terms.
Yep. You got to have boundaries.
When you're audio sentient like that, do you hear voices constantly?
And it's not like a person voice; it's just a thought voice.
See, I hear it audibly sometimes, but it's just.
Oh, I do at night when I'm trying to go to sleep. I hear it at night.
My husband thinks I'm crazy because I'm really worried about you. Because I'm like, what? What'd you say? And I think we speak at this frequency, and they speak at this frequency, and I'm always clicked in, so I hear stuff. And he's like, I didn't say anything, looking at me weird. I'm like, oh, okay, sorry.
Because he's interested, but he doesn't have.
He doesn't have that ability.
What you have.
No.
Okay, but he's still asking what you've
Yeah, he'll say, "What did you?"
He must be used to it a little bit.
Oh yeah, he knows.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't
cut
be
it
with
out,
me and
lady.
not-
I'm trying to sleep. Quit talking to Mabel again.
Right.
I'm like, wait, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. But I thought it was
Okay.
him because it's quick, and then so I assume it's him.
You
Or one
guys
of my
would agree
kids.
that psychic, intuitives, gifted people have a bad rap for a reason, because
Yes.
there's a lot of charlatans and
Yes.
bullshit.
Absolutely.
I love
Okay.
I always call them charlatans, don't I?
Yeah.
Because they piss me off.
Yeah. So what do you guys? I mean, we'll take a little detour here away from Sasquatch. What do you guys do in order to, I don't know, clean the waters a little bit from the? I mean, do you? If you saw a charlatan, would you call them out?
Yep.
I would.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Pull them aside,
And
or
I
would
also
you?
educate people that are interested
Yeah.
in it, because they're like, "Oh yeah, did you see this one show?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Don't watch that show. That's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah,
Here's
that's-
what you
yeah.
need to be looking for when you're looking for
Right.
quality."
Okay, so
Yeah.
mostly shows you think are offering.
That's where
A
people
lot
are
of
getting
shows,
started.
but
Mhm.
I know some.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know
she's
some
met some.
certain psychics that are not legit,
Okay.
and
that
I always say,
profess.
stay away, stay
Mhm.
away.
I have this theory that there is this habit of psychics that they talk more than their ability allows them to actually do what they do. Like, they have this wave of ability, but they don't have it as often as they claim, and they feel like they should to perform.
You always
know
have
what
to
I
be
mean? Like,
on, yeah.
I'm known as this, so I should have an answer, but I've got shit going on that was here this morning. Where'd it go? Does that happen?
Not to me.
Not for me.
Not for you.
No.
But I
But do you
know.
agree
But
with
I've
that?
seen
Is that a
people-
ball?
I've
Do you know what I
that from
think it is
people.
with the
Okay.
psychics that go rogue?
Mhm.
Is they work from ego, not spirit.
Right.
Yeah.
When I'm constantly working in spirit, and it's integrity and no filter. I'm going to tell you what I see. I'm going to tell you what I hear.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'll be like, I can't say this, and they're like, oh my God, that's exactly what that person said. It's like, okay, good. So
Right.
when I try to go against my filter,
Yeah.
no filter, I'm glad I don't. I always stay in spirit and go, this is, for my highest and best and their highest and best.
Yeah.
And some, there's different degrees of psychic. Some are really up here and some are down here, or some are practicing. It's all over the gamut.
Bigfoot doesn't fit into this for a whole host of reasons, as far as what you guys do, and being ghost hunters and psychics, and talking to people that have passed on, or reaching out to spirit.
But that's
I think it
paranormal, though,
does.
because
Well,
paranormal is more than just ghosts.
Because it's dimensional.
Yeah.
I'm making a point.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you,
Yeah.
but at the same time, most of the community would say, well, I mean, what is psychics?
Right.
Do you feel
True.
like you've been
Woo-woo.
led to have experiences with Bigfoot that you're maybe not nurturing?
I think we can communicate. When you were saying it earlier, I think it's by feeling
Maybe that's
more than expecting them to talk to us.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going more into the feeling of, are you afraid?
Yeah.
Do you feel, are you, question it like that, going from a feeling base.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really want to communicate with them, for me, what I'm feeling is doing it by feeling. Just be still.
Mm-hmm.
Get your thoughts and ego out.
Mm-hmm.
And just, if you're in that moment, connect to them. What I do when I connect, it's like a cord, and I'm plugging into you.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I connect to you. That energy. Do that. Connect to him, and just. I mean, if he's running at you, obviously, don't just stand there and go, oh, let's think happy thoughts, but just connect to him and see what's the feelings. What are the impressions?
Yeah. What about you, Julie? Do you feel like, as a psychic, you've been led to the location? Do you feel like, I mean, I asked you earlier if you would nurture communication, but you kind of stuck your hand out and said, well, not yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know there's definitely a feeling I've had with those two encounters, but I don't know what my intent would be in communicating with them.
Mm-hmm.
I guess maybe it's just right now enough for me to know that I believe I've encountered.
Mm-hmm. If you had a chance to understand more about them, would you start that process?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if they're willing to reveal stuff to you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you're interested.
You gotta figure ghosts are one thing.
Right.
When you got this 8-foot hairy thing,
Mm-hmm.
it's a little bit more
Or the aliens,
intimidating.
or,
Right.
And there's a different level of communication there. So where ghosts would be easier to communicate with because they've lived a human life.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know if these lived human lives.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're talking to them or feeling with them, I think it's going to be a different experience.
What do you think they are, Mackenna?
I think they're interdimensional.
Yeah.
I think they can pop in and pop out when they want to. I think that's why people can't see them. Unless you're lucky.
Explain the hairy leg.
Right,
Yeah.
a half of one.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't just have a leg hopping around this area. It just doesn't happen. But I think they're interdimensional. And that's why you don't see bones and you don't see the evidence people are really trying to get.
But can you tap into specifics? Like, if you wanted to, could you get specifics on the individual at her place?
If I tried, yeah.
You
I
could.
probably. I mean, I don't know if I could.
Yeah.
I could try.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always willing to try. For me, it would be more feeling like they feel like your house is great or whatever. That would be more of it than he's got a direct message.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they may have a direct message. I don't know. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to say.
What else? Well, since you've been out at her house, or we'll talk about you since you're right here. We won't talk behind your back. What's your sense about her property? Because she described Sasquatch, shadow beings, ghostly activity too, I would imagine, of some kind. No? Okay, but
Fairies.
shadow beings.
Fairies.
Fairies.
Very fey.
Very fey.
Okay. So have you seen lights? Okay. What?
You can feel them there.
Yeah. Well, let's come back to my last question to you. Lights. Let's talk about that. Describe what kind of lights you've seen out in the woods or in the house, or where have you seen them?
I don't see the lights in the house as much as I see them outside, mostly in among the trees and the bushes.
What do they look like?
They're quick moving things. They're just fast, and they're just sometimes out of the corner of your eye, sometimes right in front of you. You know, and they move quick. It's just and then there's some places on the property that I just feel like this is like there's little mounds of flowers. You know, this is kind of where they would hang out. Probably, you know, and
they're mounds. Yeah.
Yeah, and it feels like well, so for example, one day I came home and I took my jewelry off and I put it on the kitchen counter and left it there. No one else was home. And the next day I went to find that jewelry and it wasn't there on the counter. And how could it move? It couldn't have moved. So I just talked to the fairies and said, hey guys, not funny, can you put it back? And I went in the other room and there it was. And it makes me sound crazy, but it was there. I mean, it was not there and then it was there. And I was like, but I talked to them and you know, and asked for guidance and help in doing things, and it just feels like, I don't know, just see them bouncing around.
And do they come in a variety of colors?
I see mostly white. I see sometimes yellow.
Do they ever hold their form?
I've seen their form one time.
Okay.
It was actually in my trailer out in the woods again. And my husband saw it too, and it went like out of the corner of my eye. No, it was out of the corner of my eye, and I looked at it, but it was about this tall, so maybe 2 inches, and it looked like a white butterfly, but not a butterfly, like pure white.
Like glowing white?
Yeah, and it was like a body with, it sounds really weird, with wings, but it was like really quick.
Yeah.
Like super fast.
Did you guys see the documentary, The Bigfoot Alien Connection?
Yes.
I did.
It was on Amazon.
I did.
And there's a footage of them inside the Montana vortex, and they caught something on camera in the tilted house of what you just described, which for the camera guys was unexplainable. It was an illuminating, undulating, moth-looking like creature.
But not a moth.
Not a moth.
Yeah. And it was super quick. It was like...
I'll have to look at that moth more closely in my camera.
Yeah.
Oh, did you catch something?
My ring. Yeah, there's a moth that likes to hang out there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
so
look.
That's part of, I think, what...
I'll look closer.
Like I said, it's about 2 inches tall.
Yeah, it's about right.
2.5 inches. And it was fast. But David saw it too at another time. I don't know if it liked our trailer or it liked us, but we're out in the woods again. And we love going out camping and going out and being part of nature. And I think that's why they accept that. They know we're gentle people. We're not out. We're not going to go shoot them, you know.
Right.
And we're believers. They know if you're open.
Right. Do you ever wonder if your line of work attracts these other elementals, or, you know, Sasquatch, if we're going to call that an elemental? I tend to think that's what it is. Working with the non-living mainly is what you guys, I would say, do, you know, going and investigating. But you wander into other things too, coming through recorders or on camera. Have you ever seen something like an elemental on camera? Have you ever heard of something that sounds maybe like it is alien or you know, non-terrestrial?
We were in Isetti. I was at Isetti. Were you guys with us? No. And I got on camera, and it's just a couple of seconds. I'm not even a second. You see this green looking like a fairy just shoot across my my camera.
Yeah.
And but I was taking a video, so I could go back and look.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a bug. It was this green thing with wings, but not a bug. I know that sounds weird.
No, I know how weird. Have you been to Isetti, Julie?
I haven't gone.
Any interest?
Yes,
Okay.
we were planning
it's just
a trip
trying to get down there
this
with
summer.
I think it might be open now.
It is. I
Yeah.
think. Well, they're doing a workshop in August there.
They're pretty cool about letting people just drop in if you call them from, like, you know, Trout Lake or wherever you are. Just like, hey, can I get the gate code? I want a $10 Sky Watch or whatever.
I forgot to tell you, when the first time we went to Isetti, it was probably about 9 o'clock at night. I don't know, was it with us 9 o'clock and driving? And we pulled up to Isetti, and we put the code in, and we heard this. It's like that samurai talk. Right outside. Remember, I don't know if David told you that. And we're like, what? Oh my God, get in the car.
Oh, by the gate.
At the gate.
Oh, wow.
And we're like, get in the car, get in the car.
Waiting.
Yeah, because he put the code in, and you could hear it's like that guttural, that samurai thing. It was like it was talking. Mary was with me, David and I, and all of us heard it. And he got in really quick. We're like, get the gate open, get the gate open.
Yeah.
But that was shocking.
Yeah, they've been seen out there by quite a few people, including my ex-wife. My ex-wife actually saw one of the caretakers shapeshift, and she's not into any of this.
Wow.
But they saw the gal walk out at 12 o'clock noon to show them where the cabins were. And when they turned their back to ask, you know, when the rooms opened, she was a different woman with a different dog. And there was she had a dog in her arms, and the dog was different. I guess the woman was different. My son was there, she was there, so
you got
you know.
Wow.
But see, this brings up a new question here, is that after she had that experience, they started seeing a lot more stuff at home.
Yep. It's like being you're open, but how far do you want to be open? Because you can say too much.
Right.
Too
That's
much.
one thing.
But do these locations supercharge people? You know what I mean? Like if you go to Walker Ames, are you saying, I want to be introduced to the secret school, and I want a good workout psychically to open my pineal gland and have experience? I mean, are you doing that? I mean,
I think with each new experience that I have, it is opening me more each time. And I think that it is helping me to understand that these things have probably been happening for years and years and years, and I didn't see them happening. And now that I understand and can and know what I'm hearing or seeing and things like that, I think that I'm becoming. There's more clarity with it as I'm.
And
the
I
more
think
I do it,
the more people you meet who have the gifts will then open up a new gift for you. So I think my audio wasn't as clear, and I started talking to a certain person, and then it became very clear to me. And I don't know if that's just because, I don't know why. I think it opens up things for you when you expose yourself to more open people.
When I was talking to another person who's psychic medium, and he said he made the mistake of opening up too much
Too fast,
soon, and it was very overwhelming emotionally.
It will mess you up.
Yeah. Well, okay, so being audio sentient, is that how you say it? It sounds a little bit like schizophrenia. I mean this in the most generous way.
Yeah, bipolar or audio and
have you guys ever felt like
no
you've been,
because we're not hearing messages like go jump off the bridge.
No,
we're hearing like your Aunt Dolly made doilies for the nursing home.
Yeah,
that's not schizophrenia.
Yeah.
Right.
So...
But it can drive you crazy. I mean, I meet these people, including in the Bigfoot world, where they get so egocentric about, I'm here to deliver the message to you. You need to come to me. And it toys with people. This phenomena likes to toy with assholes, I've noticed. Like, it grabs them like, oh, you're going to have your ego stroked. And I'm going to pull the rug right out from underneath you for the... You feel that way, too?
That there are people like that, or that I'm like that?
The phenomena treats people this way, that it kind of enjoys, to a degree...
I'm very careful.
The trickster element.
Who I talk to about it, I'm very careful. I'm not going to push myself onto anybody, and I'm not going to gloat about it, brag. So if you want to know more, I'll be happy to tell you more. So I'm more from the educational standpoint.
Yeah, but you've met people.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. There's a lot of egos in the paranormal field.
And I don't think they outnumber the good folks. I just think they're louder.
They are louder.
They're just louder.
It's a squeaky wheel gets the oil, because attention, whether it's good or bad, is still attention.
Yeah.
And see, I would never go up to you and say, oh my gosh, so I'm seeing this. That's your invasion of your privacy and your space.
Oh, around me.
Anybody.
Give me a reading.
Anybody. Yeah.
So you believe that,
I would never go up to somebody.
Is she legit? In your opinion, you guys have a good feeling about her, Mackenna?
I have no idea.
No?
You don't know how much is Hollywood.
You don't know how much
Island.
is Hollywood, yeah. You don't know how much is Hollywood.
Yeah, they got divorced too, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel it's unless somebody asks me, I'm not going to impose myself on them. That's just, I'm more private on that. Yeah. Most people don't know what I do. Some do. I've come out of my spiritual closet, I call it. And because I was like, people who need me will find me this way.
Right.
That's how I feel too.
So you're comfortable enough with synchronicity that you're allowing it to happen in your walk.
And whoever needs to come to me will come to me.
What about charge? Do you guys charge at all for readings?
No.
I do. Sorry.
Okay, now that's interesting. I mean, but you have to...
I do. It's part of how I make a living.
Yeah.
But I do. I undercharge. I know a lot of.
Would you take a reading if you felt like, well, they don't have the money, but
all the time.
Come on over, sweetie. I know you got
all
it bad.
The time.
Yeah.
All the time.
See, then that's good.
And I sometimes they'll say whatever you feel, and sometimes they pay me more, and I'm like, oh heck, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But I
don't feel confident enough with myself yet to do that.
Yeah.
Abilities.
But if you did, you'd be okay with it? I mean, if you were to the point where you felt confident.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I've paid a lot of money. And got nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
I read myself better than that.
Well, I know Mackenna and I both are difficult to read for even good psychics.
Yeah, good psychics have a hard time reading.
Why do you think that is?
We vibrate at a different level.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
Everything vibrates. So it just...
And they're also looking at, again, are they working in ego?
Right.
Because they just want to say, I've had friends tell me, oh, I got to read it, and they said this. I'm like, that's so generic. Like, anybody's going to say that. Oh, you seem like you're having troubles. Well, of course, I wouldn't be coming to you.
Right. Hold that thought. Okay, we were just talking for a moment. We had to move the chair because it got so hot over in the sun there, and we're right outside a tempting pizzeria, which it's getting close to 11:30. Probably by noon I'll be heading over there and taking something home with me. But so the ego is a fragile thing, especially for guys, and we talk a lot about this on the show, about the nature of the supernatural, and in particular Sasquatch or cryptids or elementals enjoying the trickster element of their DNA, for lack of a better word, knowing that they can flirt with the power over an egocentric male. But you guys see that in females as well.
Oh yeah.
And your ghost hunts. But as far as what you'd like to do in the future with the phenomena here, Julie, you're a little bit reserved still about pushing the envelope with Sasquatch. Mackenna, I have a feeling that if you could walk up to one and just like high five and just like, hey, tell me.
Hey, dude.
Yeah.
Let's talk. Hey, Daryl. Yeah, I would actually love the opportunity.
Yeah. And you don't care so much about proof?
You know what? You're going to get your skeptics. My ex-husband literally saw a ghost in front of him, and he's still a skeptic. So it's my truth. I know what I saw. I'm not going to convince anybody because they're either going to believe it or not.
But in your ghost world, you guys have tons and tons of equipment. Like, that car was packed full of gear. I mean, just...
All of us have...
Yeah.
But I keep it simple. I literally have my cell phone recorder. And I've gotten some of the best EVPs on that.
But you want to gather information and data and evidence
some
ghost.
people do on the team.
Yeah. Do you feel that way about...
Kind of, but like some people are more science-based. Some people are more science-based. They want the hard truth.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, but this stuff still has as much proof as this does. It's just not able to be seen. Mm-hmm. Like when I saw that figure, the apparition, there's no way you could tell me that wasn't legit. Mm-hmm. But there's no way I could get a camera up there and take a picture of it.
And I'm so bummed about our last trip to Walker Ames that was not able to record what I heard upstairs.
Right.
And it challenged, and I've been invested in this for 15 years, but those voices were so good, so clear, and they usually only come at a camera's expense or a recorder's expense. When you hear that in your ear, and it's like, those are women chit-chatting, and they're like right upstairs.
Remember we were downstairs?
Yeah.
We could hear it?
Yeah.
It's like I hear a guy talking.
Yeah, there was a guy.
There was a guy talking.
Too, I thought it was a discussion.
Yeah.
Very loud discussion.
And when we were there with Linda, it was right there in front of us, and you walked in, we said, listen, it's right here.
Yeah.
And we did catch it. We did catch the voices, but you don't always. I mean, if you want to talk about pictures being worth a 1,000 words, if we could get... I have one picture that's my best, and it was my son. My dad died 4 days after my son was born, but my son would always talk about my dad. And he would say, like, eyes, nose, mouth. And I have a picture of my son holding this, I'll have to show it to you, this gold orb. I've had Pulitzer Prize photographers looking at it. I've had photography teachers look at it. Nobody can say what it is. And one of them darkened it so you could actually see it. So
wow, I'd love to see this.
Yeah, I'll show it to you. It's my best paranormal photo.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the only one I got. And I'm okay with that.
Okay. What about you, Julie? What's your prized possession? Do you have any evidence that you've been keeping hold of that, like, oh, Julie's got the
Holy Grail?
Yeah, or your, your little
some
keepsake.
Audio, but just some audio that I have, and it's not necessarily prized. It's just kind of cool,
Right.
I'm more interested in the historical aspect of the area and what might be going on in the location, and more than the proof pieces.
Right.
But it's just more of a, hey, listen to this. That's pretty cool, And caught it. And
so this is the shot here. So let me describe what I'm looking at here. So this is your son.
Yep.
And he's holding his hand up. It's a very interesting shot because it looks like it's covered in Vaseline. It has that kind of iridescent glow to it, and the whole... Is there a flash being used?
Mm-mm. But it was super bright, and that's why the photography teacher darkened it.
Can I zoom in on this?
Yeah, go ahead.
So her son has his hand up, and it looks like it would be his right hand, and there's a ball of yellowish white light on one of his fingers in his hand. Actually, his hand's open like this, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. But it's like just above his hand.
Oh yeah.
If you look.
Yeah, it's hovering
above his hand.
Did he know it was there?
He was saying that my dad was there.
Yeah, and he's like
holding it, and he was only about 18 months in that picture.
He's that young? Oh, okay. I thought he was older looking.
No.
Okay. Something in the eyes said he looked older.
Maybe
18 months,
20 months. I mean,
but definitely under 5 years old.
Oh yeah,
okay.
He was under 2.
Wow.
Yeah, because he would talk.
And what is this over here? There's something happening at the bottom of the photo.
That was against the headboard.
Okay.
I have, yeah. I guess one thing, we were investigating a local theater, and we were down where the artists that perform, where they hang out before they come up. And I got the audio of somebody saying, hey, watch out. And so as I was walking through the doorway and around a corner, and then, I said, oh, I'm sorry, apologize.
Right.
I didn't see them there, literally. And then when I came back through that doorway again, my heat sensor came flying out of my back pocket forward and landed on the ground, and then it died, and it never worked again. Wow. So, and Mary was there and saw that happen. So, things like that is more of what I like to learn.
Yeah. My best was at Montana State Prison. We went and investigated the maximum security, and that's where the women were. And this was an ops thing. And there was a couple of guys, and they're talking, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, you hear, "What's your name, honey?" Clear as a bell. We didn't hear it.
Wow. That's
we were
totally
driving
something
back.
they'd say.
Right.
Yeah.
We were driving back, and I was like, "Oh my God, listen to this." And I was like, having everyone listen. They're like, "That's a Class A to get that clear." But it was a female.
Right.
Saying, "What's your name, honey?" And that's my favorite, I think, EVP I've caught.
With the vocal that you heard at ECETI, where you're at the gate there, I just want to make sure I understood it.
That was freaky.
Because I know that gate really well. The gate box is off to the left-hand side with the little weird painting. Was it in that side?
It was on that side, like right behind it.
Was it coming out of the box?
Nope.
Okay, so it was out in the
we
woods.
tried. We were saying, oh, maybe they're being funny.
Right.
But no, because we've been there a few times since. It was behind.
And it sounded like the CR sounds?
The
like samurai chatter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was probably 3-4 seconds, but enough to scare the crap out of us.
Yeah.
That would scare you. When it's dark and you hear that.
Oh, yeah.
That would scare you.
I think even the more seasoned guys would wet themselves.
Yeah.
And Julie, you've never heard this vocalizations from Bigfoot? Have you ever heard them speak?
Words?
Yeah.
No.
Nothing like that.
No words.
It's weird.
Yeah. What about in dreams? Do you ever have dreams about things that may remind you of cryptids or elementals or Sasquatch
Quite often.
beings? Names? Nothing like that. Okay.
No.
Do you have a reoccurring being that visits you, like a guide? Yeah. Do they have a name?
I don't know his name. It's a druid that looks like a raven.
Okay.
With a cloak.
Yeah.
Comes often.
Oh, a raven with a cloak.
Cool. Yeah, but it's that like burlap color looking.
Okay.
Kind of real rough material.
But you see the beak and everything?
Just see the beak, that's all. And it sits and talks with me at a fire.
Okay. And does it give you information?
And it listens to me too.
Okay. How long have you been visited by this raven?
As long as I can remember.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen it outside of the dream world?
No, but I have lots of ravens at our house. They'll come sometimes in flocks and just sit in the trees and make noise, lots of chatter. But we have crows too, but they're
different.
They're ravens, yeah.
Yeah.
And they like to hang around. And a lot of times, not a lot, but sometimes when I'm driving to work, they'll follow me.
Oh, really?
Follow the car. And then they stop when I make when I get too far away.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, these are extremely smart animals too, so for you to have one is, would you call it a spirit guide? Do you get a sense of male or female?
Male.
Well, you answered that definitively. Okay. And so you're visited how often?
Well, I can access whenever I want, but I would say during times when I'm looking for resolution to something, and so it really just depends on what the situations are.
You can access? Can you access at a moment's notice if you need to? And is it a thought form?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. How about any marks on either one of you? Have you guys ever got marked at all by anything?
I've been scratched and bruised when I lived at that awful house out here. It was really haunted. It was bad.
Yeah.
We had to have specialists come in and clear it, but I was getting scratched and jumped. It was like they'd jump into my dreams.
Okay.
Or they would try and jump into me, and I don't allow that.
Yeah.
So I think one time at 3 o'clock in the morning, I was out in my pajamas crying, holding onto a tree. It was so intense. But yeah, there's a antique store up in Port Townsend that I got scratched in.
Oh yeah.
Down
I'm
my
surprised.
back. Yeah.
I don't think I have.
Not that you remember. Or,
you know when you do. It's like it's like a pin, a needle, and really, really burning hot, and it's not fun to get scratched. And that's when I let my defenses down. I'm just like living the day, not thinking about it. And that's if they're not nice and they're trying to get my attention, or they're pissed or whatever, then you get it.
I think I've been touched.
Yeah, we've been touched. I know
I've been touched.
Yeah.
But a physical scratch is different than a touch.
Okay. And what about either sleep paralysis or OBEs?
Yes.
You guys at all body jump, leave your body and go into somebody else?
I don't go into somebody else. Yeah. I travel.
I travel.
Astrally. Okay. How often do you guys do that?
Multiple times a day.
I'm doing it right now, bitch.
I'm actually in Germany. I just went to Castle.
I mean, you do it every night? Do you guys?
No, I wouldn't say every night.
I've never had sleep paralysis where I can't get back in, where I'm like frozen.
I did.
Did you?
It was frightening.
Yeah, I have
terrifying.
You just all of a sudden catch yourself like, oh, I'm not in.
Well, and your first response is to panic, and that makes it worse.
Yep.
And so you have to just relax and
allow it back in.
Get your mind
about
backward.
Having an OBE and being freaked out because you're having one. Is that what you mean?
Or no, sleep paralysis.
Oh, sleep paralysis. Yeah. Well, yeah, you can control that and not freak out. I'd be freaking out.
It is very frightening. Yeah. And you can't get the words out.
Yeah.
You're making noises. You're not making words, and it's hard. It's very, very scary.
Okay, so beyond you not getting words out, can you get air out? Is this thing?
It feels like you can't.
Pressing on you.
Yes, it feels like you can't, and your arms too, and you're just
paralyzed.
You're not moving.
Yeah.
And do you see anything around you at all? Do you see presences? Because you have shadow people, but you don't feel like they are malevolent.
I really don't. I think if we were different people, I think if we were, like assholes or something, then maybe yes, there might be some negative interactions. But I think, you do your thing, I'll do my thing, kind of people. And so,
we get a lot of dark people who come to us and try and mess with us, and it's like
people or non-living.
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Okay.
They know when you're light.
Yeah, I don't think I'm thinking about it. I don't think I see anything. I think because my eyes are closed. I think it's the part of the problem. I can't move anything.
Yeah. Mine just slips in. It's like, okay, I'm good.
No,
I'm back.
When I'm paralyzed.
And so under sleep paralysis, this happens in your house? Does it happen with your husband there?
It's not him.
No, right. But if you wanted help,
I can't.
You can't even get that. And so he's totally... Is he incapacitated too?
No.
Never had an experience like this?
No.
Do you have a feeling that he's holding back on anything? I mean, and looking at what's happened with you at the house, do you feel like he has had stuff, but it's just too challenging?
Oh, yeah. I know so.
Yeah, because it's so red pill junkie. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Everything you've ever known, and it messes it up. And they don't know how to. Men are fixers. I'm not being. Men like to fix things. And when you completely shift their reality, it's hard for them because it throws them. Now, I feel men who are more in touch with their emotional side and more sensitive, they're going to be more likely to handle it better than the guys, like you said, the ones that are,
right.
I don't believe this. Da, 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 da.
Right.
Well, my husband believes in aliens and Bigfoots and cryptids, all the different things. It's just not spirit.
Really?
He's not willing to enter that world.
So, I totally understand this here. I'm basically answering my own question, but as far as, working with people like we did with Cindy and Daryl in Cottage Grove, Cindy was kind of like your husband. She kind of had to see it to believe it, and what are you involved with, and blah, blah, blah. But they answered the call. I mean, and once she started to request, especially odd items, they heard. Didn't matter if it was morning, noon, or night. And, that was a big transition point for her. But there's still a personality profile, I think, for some of these people. It's just like, that's a bit much. You know what I mean? Like and it asks a lot out of you as well as a person. Like sometimes I think the phenomena asks way more than it should out of you. Like, I'm just a guy. I'm trying to make a living here. Right. I can't be running down to every, abandoned house or, you know what I mean? Like,
I always say to my friends, I'm like, I wish I could just be 3D sometimes.
Right.
I just don't feel like does that make sense? Mm-hmm. It's because we see things that they don't. It's like, I wish I could just go to my job, do my job, come home with my 2.5 kids and have a lovely life with my picket fence.
Right.
But when you have this life, that's kind of a luxury. Mm-hmm. You can shut it down, but they really push you.
Right.
No, you're not going to push us down because there's a reason we're supposed to be here and doing this work. Yeah.
Now, we're up in here in the Olympic Peninsula. We're not far, like I said, from Bremerton and Port Orchard, Washington. If people want to reach out to you outside of ops, because they already know how to do that, can they reach out to you through ops and talk to you individually? Like, can they access you somehow if they like what you're saying? If they like what you're saying at all, how would they do that? I mean,
they can go to our Facebook page. Mm-hmm. We also
the Ops Facebook page.
Yeah.
Okay, and they can find you in there and say, "Hey, I'm going to shoot you a friend request."
And I also we both have Facebook accounts. I have a professional and a private. So if somebody wants to get a hold of me.
Not
Mine's
yet.
Private.
Yeah,
not yet.
We'll get her made one today. Any final words, ladies?
Well, aliens. I had an alien experience.
Oh yeah, I have too.
Okay, we're gonna go extended here. We got to talk. All right, wait a second. Let me move the chair.
Because you're getting hot again.
Let's pull this table over this way here. I'm gonna invite the audience in on this one here. We're gonna move the table because I think it would be good ambient sound.
No, you can't lift.
I know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
3, 2, 1.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're moving the table. Okay.
Love it.
Now we can go longer.
Okay.
I was getting hot.
I'm not. This is so awesome.
Okay, so that's where I was getting to with the marks. Not so much that you guys have been scratched, but I just wondered with the lights and with the phenomena that you have. You talk to someone like Whitley Strieber or anybody who's had abductive experiences, they talk about seeing dead people, the lights, shadow people, and cryptids. You go to Skinwalker Ranch, same thing. You go to Cottage Grove, same thing. So what are we talking about with both you ladies as far as UFOs?
I've had 2 experiences. One was I lived off Fair Trail Road in Marysville, which is known as a hot spot for UFO. And I lived on almost 4 acres, but 3 acres of it was native protective growth and wetlands. So it was huge. It was a forest. And about 8 or 9 o'clock at night, I was laying in bed and looking out my window, and about 40 feet up off the ground, there was this pulsating light. No sound, but we're in a heavy grove of forest. No sound, just this pulsating light. And I sat there and just watched it, and I had my daughter come in, and she saw it with me. And I got a video of it because there's no way anybody can climb up. It's private. Mm-hmm. Why would you climb up 40 feet up in a tree and show a light at me? But there was no sound. That was the weirdest part, was there was no sound. So I had to have come down.
Was there an absence of sound that was weird?
Yeah.
You know what I mean by that?
Yeah. It was just nothing.
Like a vacuum?
Void,
yeah. Mm-hmm. And it sat there for about 5 minutes, just sitting there. Mm-hmm. And when we were at Isetti, we were walking out in, that big field, and it's fenced. I walked over here, and all of a sudden my arm started itching internally, really bad. So I had Mary look at it. She's a PA. Didn't see anything. And then I walked away, and it stopped. Well, I walked back, and it started up again. And we went back in, and James like, "Oh, you had contact." And I'm thinking, what the hell are you talking about?
Gilliland.
Gilliland. Yeah. I said, "What are you talking about? They better not have implanted me, because that would freak me out."
Right.
And they have no explanation other than I had contact. Now, what the contact was, I don't know. But it was extremely, like internal itching, vibrating inside.
Did you ever have any arm issues health-wise?
No, on this, I had a frozen shoulder, but no, nothing.
Nothing on that side
No.
that maybe
Not that I can think of.
Maybe they fixed it.
Well, that's what. Yeah.
It's probably. They're like, hold on, lady, stop.
Right.
Just,
You were gonna have an issue, so we got to it beforehand.
We took
Don't
care
worry.
of it.
The copay is really low. A trip in our spaceship.
Right.
It was weird. It was really weird because nobody else had that reaction, just me. But I'm probably one of the more open ones. So.
Do you get a numbness or tingling at all in your fingers, hands before you have an intuitive moment?
I don't know.
Mine's here, top of my head.
Top of the head.
Yeah.
If I
feel
have
it.
something near
It feels
me,
like a spider.
If I have something near me,
like a web.
No, like a spider's moving in my
Oh,
hair.
really?
Yeah.
if I get something near me, and Julie can confirm this, my back gets really cold, and she's tempted that it's colder on my back than my body.
Oh, you can check it and feel the sense?
Oh, she did with the temperature gauge.
Several degrees.
So what do you think
lower.
that is?
Them attaching to me, talking to me. They just like my back. I don't know why. It's like, come around the front. But yeah, you can feel it on my back. I'll say, oh, they're behind me. And she'll gauge it.
We need to get that SLS camera on you too. And what about with yours, Julie? What has happened with you?
When I was a teenager, we used to sleep out in our yard and just watch the stars during the summer, you know, the New Year's and things like that. And there were several of us out there, and we all saw it, and it was a light high up in the sky that made like a Z pattern very quickly, and then took off just as fast as it was there all of a sudden. And so we were all, you know, aliens, and because you're a teenager, you know, right? But a couple of years ago, thinking this was about 4 years ago, my husband came in the house and he said, come here, it was dark outside. And he goes, you got to tell me that you're seeing this too. And so up in the sky, real high up in the sky, it couldn't have been a drone or anything like that, but there were these 3 lights, and they were red lights, and they came together from opposite sides of the sky, and they came, you know, like kind of a triangle shape, and just hung out for a little bit, and then took off. And so we're like, what? You know, that's kind of crazy. And so then we're figuring, you know, NASA or somebody's doing something, but I don't think there was NASA anymore. And then a couple of months later, it happened again, and he's, come here, it's doing it. And so we're watching it, and it did exactly the same thing. And then a couple of months later, it's about a month later, I was out of town, and he called me, and he says, I'm standing outside, I'm seeing it again. And it was doing the same thing. It was very strange, and we haven't seen it since.
Right here.
Yeah.
Point to where?
Right over there.
Okay. And is that usually where it happens?
Yeah, and it was like right over our house, but high up in the sky. You couldn't make anything out other than a red light.
And does that? So that's 3 times.
3 times.
Okay.
That we
saw. But yeah, you see lights in the woods too.
Yeah,
but you're calling these fairies.
I think they are.
You don't feel like they're associated.
I don't.
Different phenomena.
I think they're different realms.
Yeah.
You know, they're all interdimensional, but I think just different realms.
Do you think they overlap periodically?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So they know about one another. It's not like, oh God, aliens don't exist. We're fairies.
Right.
Right.
No, I don't think
Humans
so.
don't exist. We're Bigfoot.
Right.
No, I think they're more connected than we are.
Right. Yeah.
We like to deny their existence. Where they're like, hey, we're out here, look at us.
Yeah.
And some of us have the blessing that we do get to see it. Because it is. I think it's a gift to be able to see it.
Yeah. So do you ever feel like this is a burden on you? Have you ever said to yourself, you don't have to answer this, but this is maybe too much. Maybe too much
This is where I want to be a 3D day.
My family, too much for me. I just got back. Have you ever quit, you know, and just like came back to it because this is your walk and you're kind of forced to make it? No?
Health-wise, it takes a lot out of you. Believe it or not.
What do you mean by that?
Because you're taking on other people's energy. So it's hard. And being able to connect intimately with somebody, feeling everything they feel, it's hard on your emotions. And you have to, just a short one. My grandson was having his birthday, and they were at my son-in-law's grandma's house. Well, the grandfather was sick and dying of cancer. And so I was sitting next to him talking, and then all of a sudden I was getting this feelings like, oh, I want to throw up. I was feeling sick. because of him. I was picking up on him. Well, during the party, he loved his grandson. And he was in the bedroom, and I could feel him crying because he couldn't be out there with him because he was so tired and he couldn't do it.
Oh.
So I'm picking up on that while I'm trying to be joyful that my grandson. So those are the moments that are hard because you do pick up on people's energies and emotions. And when I'm doing a reading and someone comes in that they really want to hear from and they're crying, I'm crying, we're all emotional, it is draining on you.
So how do you turn that off? I mean, you talked about your bubble from Wizard of Oz. What do you call it?
Yeah, that's
bubble?
my Glinda bubble. That's when I go into places.
You have to recharge, though.
You have to recharge. Just, I don't do many readings just because I don't want all of that. I know people do them like a lot, and it's hard. Physically, it's hard.
Somebody explained it like it's like the moment you leave Costco. You're like,
I'd say almost Walmart.
Oh God,
Walmart. I think Walmart's more accurate.
That was the worst,
Walmart.
the roughest trip ever.
Right?
Kind of feeling. Yeah.
You just have to be able to.
It's like leaving Costco. That's great.
Yeah.
I got to recharge.
Yeah.
It is tiring. And some of my, like, I won't stop a reading. Some people are like, okay, you get an hour. They stop. I've gone 2.5 hours. Because it just keeps going, and it's so good, and it's just by the end of the 2 hours.
And right now, the way that things are in our
we're picking up everybody.
U.S. and it's like all coming in, constant. I don't.
Wait a second. What has COVID done to you?
Just the emotions of everybody else, and how the angst and divided and anger
you
and
feel the shift, the weight of the world on you psychically.
Yeah.
Totally different.
Because as an empath. You're pulling it in because you're feeling what they feel. You're feeling what people are scared, people are angry, there's all these emotions, and it comes into you. And sometimes you have to stop yourself and go, "Is this mine or not mine?" Because that's a big thing, is identifying whether this is my emotion or somebody else's emotion.
How do you do that?
Ask yourself, stop, and go, okay, what am I doing at the moment that I'm all of a sudden raging, pissed off,
right?
Or I want to cry.
Is it more often than not you?
No,
it's
usually
more
not me.
the opposite.
Yeah.
Really?
Because you could be standing by next to him. Like I said, he was sick from chemo, and I was wanting to throw up because I was feeling
you are
what
in
he
the
was.
sun again.
I'm okay.
All right.
That's all right.
It's your shining star.
Right.
I mean, I've heard that it's a burden. I don't have the gift, and after you describe it, it sounds like a challenge.
I would say a challenge more than a burden.
Yeah.
There's times where I just don't want to think or feel too much.
I mean, people call it a curse. I've heard people say,
that way.
I've been cursed with this damn ability, and I shut it off.
You chose it. When you came down here, you chose that you were going to have that.
Okay, so you feel that way.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
100%.
So you made a soul choice. Yeah.
You're here as a way shower. You're here to show people the way to their best. And that's, some people, it's like, hello, McFly, you're never going to get it. But then some people get it.
What about, I'm trying to think how to cap the show here, and I think I want to ask you both this, as far as your transition point here, when you guys move on, what's your thoughts on that, as far as where will you go? Because, we have elements of purgatory being offered up, looking into this, and we have oppressive spirits, and we have people that linger and stay behind.
The earthbound.
Yeah, the earthbound. So what do you think? How do you feel you're going to go, Julie, as far as where you're going afterwards?
I don't believe in the heaven, hell, purgatory. I believe in an other space. I don't know what that would look like. I'm excited to find out what that is and where I happen to next, and I would love to I don't know if I'm going to come back. I don't know if I've done. Mackenna has a different...
I'm done.
She's done, yeah.
I'm done.
Oh,
this is my
you
last
believe
life.
in reincarnation.
I do think so, because
I actually do past life regressions. I'm a hypnotherapist.
Okay, so you feel as though you're done. This
I'm
is your
done.
last time?
This is my last hurrah. This was hell.
Yeah.
This was like I was trying to fit everything in.
Yeah.
But I really feel I came here to help other people with their lessons this time. But yeah, I'm not afraid of death at all, because I've talked to so many people and I've seen transition and seen all of it.
I'm afraid it'll hurt, but I'm not afraid.
I think it'll hurt, but once you're gone, out, there is no pain.
Yeah.
There's no pain. There's love and joy. I'll stay around and make sure my kids and my family are okay, my friends, but I'm not afraid, because it's a blip. I mean, really, the time over there.
Right.
My dad's been gone 14 years, but here it feels 14 years. There, it's like, I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not afraid. There's some days I'm like, please God, beam me up.
Yeah.
It's just so angry and ugly down here. Why? It's like we're here for a reason.
Well, let me ask you one final question here, because I think talking about the state of the world as it stands right now with coronavirus and the pandemic and what we have going on politically, there are things looming here that seem so transitional that it's liminal. And there's this liminal state that it seems to attract the supernatural when you're in a transitional state. So do you feel like it's amped up spirit activity in your own lives? Have you guys seen more people's, spirits reaching out to you? Do you feel like that? Have you seen it?
What I've seen more of in this time than I ever have before are auras. And I see, because people are they're vibrating at a higher level now because of their stress or change in work or whatever's happening. And I can see them from many more people than I ever could. There's a lack of calm.
So it's bringing out the aura as is that a certain color that you see more often? Like, does worry or stress have a red color?
It can for different reasons. It could be, or it could be that somebody is trying to calm themselves and they're physically working on it, and it might be a blue or green,
right.
So it just depends on the person's intentions and what they're working on.
I think this quiet time that people have had has really gave them either time to reflect and see what's a priority in their life.
Yeah.
So I think they're either going up or they're going down.
Right.
I don't see a lot of maintaining. I see people are either rising above this and saying what's really important, helping community, or you're seeing the completely opposite. It's about me, it's about me. So this is what I'm hoping, and I believe this is what most of us are, the upper part of the reflection. But these are the louder ones down here, the squeaky wheels.
Yeah.
I'm here today with Mackenna Long and Julie Svenson Garcia. Thanks, ladies, for telling your stories. All right, Mackenna Long and Julie Svenson Garcia. Thanks again to both of them for providing their time and talking to me about this stuff. And I don't think it'll be the last time we speak. In fact, they may be coming over here and seeing what's happening at my place, because it seems pretty active as of lately. And if you've been following along what's going on with Hilda and Bobby, then you'd know that it looks as though things are starting to amp up, and I'm not quite sure why, except to say I'm recording a whole lot more. So if you go onto SoundCloud and just type in strangebrowradio.com, SoundCloud, I believe, is free to look up things, and look up strangebrowradio.com. Night 2 through 4 are available out of, I think, 14 nights is what I'm going for, and all I'm doing is setting 2 little dolls that I found at Goodwill in an enclosed space, which I'm calling the dollhouse, and setting a recorder by the dolls to see what happens. Now, are they going to energize? Are there going to be more sounds? These are just random dolls that I found for $6 or something like that. And so Hilda and Bobby got some stuff last night that wasn't sounding like any critter. There was a squirrel the night before that got into another spot, but I got out of there and put it in a enclosed trailer. And so interesting sounds for night 4. Take a listen and tell me what you think's happening. We got 10 more nights of recording before I either pull the plug on that one or ramp it up. So we're trying to keep things active around here during COVID, like all of you guys. And I hope you guys are doing okay with every new pandemic button being pushed and all that. sitting on the wake of incredible news, like real-life science fiction stuff coming true, the Pentagon admitting that they have metamaterial and now crashes. And please, I hope they don't backtrack from this story here and weather balloon us again. It's just really, it's sad that we can't enjoy it fully because we're having to breathe through these masks. Which I want to make a plug for the people that are making these face shields, because I have 3 face shields, and like I said, I'm leaning into my inner Star Wars and Mad Max with every new face shield I buy. So I think that that's the appropriate way to do this, with a sense of humor. If I can't run to the store and buy a can of tuna fish without wearing a mask, then I might as well have some fun while doing it. So get on Amazon and order yourself a face shield. Breathing in all this CO2. I watched a gal in a department store, an 80-year-old gal, take a fall the other day, and she had her mask on, and she was exhausted. And I maybe she would have fallen without the mask, but she looked exhausted, and so me and the manager picked her up, and she was out of breath till she took that mask on. And it's happened 3 other times in the last week where I've seen mainly women and elderly folks get hit hardest. But I imagine children are next, and men too, especially if they're doing it full time. So you got to find your own personal way to do the pandemic here. But I'm leaning in on information based upon reporting data for my specific sphere of influence, or King County, Seattle area. And we're at less than 1% fatality rate. There's over 2 million people in King County, and under 700 people have died from this. That's troubling to me as far as how much worry I see on people's eyes. I mean, people are full on freaking out. So pay attention to popular mechanics. Take your mind off this for a little bit. And, watch the new documentary on Netflix about Father Malachi Martin, Hostage to the Devil. That was the name of his book that he wrote, and that's the documentary available on Netflix. And it's an in-depth look into Father Malachi Martin's life from beginning to end. And the guy's just a stud. Only one guy has something bad to say about him, and that's because I think he's a jilted lover. Not quite sure who's in love with who or what the love is, but I think there's a woman or a man involved, and he admits to such. So other than that, check out Hostage to the Devil, and that is all for now. Oh, if you'd like to be a guest, why don't you? Get a hold of me at strangebrowradio@gmail.com, and I'd love to talk to you, anonymous as you like. Love it if you go public, but don't need you to, at strangebrowradio@gmail.com. And if you are an extended experiencer of Sasquatch interaction or paranormal interaction, and you'd like to talk, you've listened to the book, you've listened to the podcast, and you can... if you're interested in talking to me, I'd love to talk with you, work with you anonymously as well, off the record, and maybe help you initiate something more or less than where you're at, if that's your goal. But if you just want to talk and spitball stuff around, we can do that too at strangebrowradio@gmail.com. The reason I mention this, again, outright, is that people are doing that, and that's what this show really is all about, is getting us to a new area of understanding and accepting the supernatural, so you don't become traumatized and go cuckoo and get yourself on the wrong page of life. Okay, that's it. Of course, you can be a Patreon member at patreon.com/strangebrowradio for as little as $3 a month. All sorts of stuff on there, including my 2-hour trip with Joe Hauser to the Montana Vortex, which is the latest one, and a bunch of other stuff. And then gear, anything that you buy at Strange Brow Radio merch store at strangebrowradio.com helps the show out. Now, I want to mention this real quick about the merchandise. I'm glad I went here. I was contacted by someone who ordered a hoodie, and it wasn't 100% cotton. Okay, the shirts are 100% cotton. The hoodies are a blend, and so it's my fault. I put 100% cotton on the hoodie. I thought the shirts were made of the same material as the hoodie because they're underneath the highest quality, app or check mark I could put on there. So I need to change that. The hoodies are goodies. They're really good quality hoodies, and the t-shirts run a little bit small. I don't think that the hoodies do. But if you wear an extra large, think about getting an extra large on the t-shirt side of things. And I appreciate it very much. All right, folks, you have yourself a good rest of the week. And of course, I will see you in the trees. You haven't stopped the recording. Well, a good thing, because sometimes at the end of a podcast, within the vinyl hiss, will be a treasure. And in this case, our treasure takes the form of a scientist from the Montana Vortex. Previously, you heard Nick Nelson on the prior Montana Vortex episode. And the next day, Nick and I meet up in the gift shop and have a conversation about disappearing hands and dowsing rods. This is that conversation. Okay, I'm here with Nick. He's one of the tour guides, and of course he saw the Thunderbird that he described last night, but he also experienced something with dowsing rods years back when they first opened up here. So, Nick, go ahead.
Well, as I said, it was the first year that we were here.
Let's move away from the AC, because it'll pick that up.
So it was the first years that we were here. We were setting up all this stuff. So in the Oro spot, Joe's wife, at the time, she wanted me to go down and douse the outside circle around those trees. And I was doing that. I was almost done. And as I walked, and she was behind me with a handful of those survey flags. And and she would put one in the ground where I told her to. So anyway, I went over this one spot. And I came through there, and it was like I grabbed a hold of an electric fence. Well, not quite that extreme yet, like this, And while I'm standing there wondering what's going on, I hear her voice behind me say, "I can't see your hands." And I was in the process of backing out of there. I didn't know what was going on, but I didn't like it. And so I went over to her and asked her, "What do you mean you couldn't see my hands?" And she was talking to me, and then a couple of tourists, a young couple with two small kids, walked up, and this guy had been up with a camcorder. I saw him when we were doing, and he came over, and he was standing there, and he said, "What are you guys doing?" And I told him, and he said, "Well," he says, "I was back there taking a video, that it's a camcorder with this thing, and he says, when I zoomed in on your, he says, I couldn't see your hands in the little screen,
Right.
And
so there's two witnesses.
There's two.
Yeah.
And so we begged him.
But you could see him.
Yeah, I could see him fine.
Yeah.
It didn't feel too good, but I could see him fine. So later on, we came at the gift shop and had him. He actually played it back, and not only could you not see my hands, my arms were gone from the shoulders because I was holding all things out like this, and my arms were gone into a hole, a brownish hole that was about maybe 3 feet across, around, right in front of me, and the woods beyond the hole were warped into a spiral, the whole thing.
Just like the photographs here that show the warping.
Yeah, and we begged this guy, please send us a copy, just a still. That's all we need. You know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I will. And of course, he never did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've heard those stories before too. I mean, I'm pretty good about sharing everything, and you guys are really good about sharing everything. It's not like it's a big deal, but some people find out they got something.
Yeah.
So you didn't have any long-lasting.
Yeah, not long-lasting.
Do you occasionally disappear?
It drained my energy. You wouldn't believe. I went home and I just fell asleep. You know.
Yeah.
I woke up, got something to eat, I fell asleep. For a day and a half, I was totally drained of energy until I got it back. And then Joe will tell you also that after that, I don't know if it's the same year or not, that he was down in another part around the trail. He was cleaning up brush and junk around there, and he got hit with the same thing. So when I was in the Oregon vortex, I found that on these I call these things my great big electron because they orbit the edge of the vortex, and they're very slow. So this is what was going on. That thing was orbiting along that. I was approaching that line. The wires, intersected the thing at the moment it got there.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of bad luck or good luck. I already want to look at it, and then it hit me.
And dowsing rods are just usually for finding water or where there's electrical cords. You can use them
whatever's in your mind.
So it's all about intention. Yeah. So were you looking for a wormhole?
No. I was looking to find that line. And
a ley line?
Is there.
Yeah. Oh, there's Uncle Joe. Sealing up the deal.
Anyway,
we're just hearing about the witch sticks.
The story about it.
Well, you did it all in under 5 minutes. Good work. You locking up, Joe? Okay. Well, that's incredible. Thank you for telling me because I didn't know it was you till just now. So
anyway, Joe tell you about his with the same thing, just in a different place.
Not about things disappearing, I don't think.
No, it doesn't disappear. No. Tangling with this portal. These portals are in motion. That's why
they're hopping around.
No, they're on that orbit.
Yeah.
You've got to be unlucky enough to hit them just at the moment. This is why the Bermuda Triangle is, hit and miss.
Right.
The only reason they get a lot of them is because there's a lot of traffic there.
Right.
Some people would just kind of glance off of it and have an experience. The other
or
people,
pilots in the sky. Yeah. So they're in an elliptical are they in the Fibonacci circle?
No, they're going in a circle.
They're going
in a circle.
Okay.
There are three basic lines to the vortex. One's are straight lines. One's circular lines like concentric circles, and then there's the Fibonacci spiral lines. And whenever
are they going counterclockwise? Because when I was in there,
it depends on what kind of
the one inside the vortex house though goes counterclockwise.
Counterclockwise.
Yeah. So what does that mean? Do you have any idea? Is it more powerful going counterclockwise? Any speculation?
Yeah. Well, anybody that deals with magnetic healing energy always recommends that you always use the north.
Okay.
Facing the body. Otherwise, you get all kinds of weird things going on.
So, like your bed and everything should have your head facing the north?
It depends on the person.
So that rose quartz right now was facing hard east, and now it seems to be going towards the north.
That's a strange one to me.
It's a little dial. I would agree that it's a quartz dial of some kind.
Well, you can make a radio with just quartz.
Yeah, that's right.
Crystals.
That'd sell good here too. Hey, I was going to ask too if Joe still has those things that he shows, the little things that you grab. Does he sell those here? Those little plastic things? Where are those at?
They're in the toy shelf over there.
Oh, they are? Okay.
Okay.